Hello everyone. Today I will tell you a story. The story is titled, When the Lights Turn On, Boy is Still Here. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you appreciate me. You can skip this if you don't and oppose. Like this video. Thank you very much. The story begins as follows. Every evening, our house changes its personality. In the late afternoon, sunlight pours through the windows in long golden stripes, warming the tiled floor and catching the dust in tiny floating sparkles. But when the sky begins to dim and the air cools just enough to make me reach for the switch, everything feels softer, quieter, slower. And that is when I notice Boy the most. Boy is not the loudest dog in the neighborhood. He doesn't bark at every passing motorbike or chase every shadow that dares to move. He is, instead, a steady presence, like a small, breathing promise that waits patiently in the corner of the room. When I press the light switch and the room fills with a warm yellow glow, Boy lifts his head. He always does. It doesn't matter if he is pretending to nap or actually dreaming about something important, probably snacks. The click of the switch is a signal. His ears twitch first. Then his eyes blink open, slow and thoughtful. Finally, his tail begins its gentle thump-thump against the floor. When the lights turn on, Boy is still here. It sounds simple. Of course he is still here. Where else would he be? But there is something deeply comforting about that moment. The world outside may be noisy and unpredictable, but inside this small space, under this steady light, Boy remains. I often sit down on the sofa after turning on the light. My day might have been busy. Messages unanswered, tasks unfinished, small worries clinging to my mind like stubborn burrs. But Boy does not care about my deadlines. He only cares that I am back in the room. He stretches slowly, front legs reaching forward, back arched in a dramatic curve, as if he has just completed a long shift at an important office job. Then he walks over, each step unhurried, and rests his chin on my knee. No words, no demands, just weight, warmth, breath. I scratch the top of his head, and he sighs, a sound so soft it almost blends into the hum of the ceiling fan. In that sigh, I hear trust. I hear routine. I hear the quiet rhythm of shared evenings. Sometimes I talk to him about my day. I tell him about the small victories and the minor embarrassments. I complain about traffic. I laugh at something silly that happened. Boy listens. Or at least, he looks like he listens. His eyes follow my face. His ears tilt at the sound of my voice. Occasionally, he blinks in slow approval, as if to say, "That sounds very serious. I support you. But have you considered giving me a treat?" There is a special kind of peace in being heard without being judged. The light above us casts a soft halo over his black fur. It shines just enough to reveal the tiny brown strands around his ears, the faint white patch near his chest. I realize that I have memorized the map of his body, the small scar near his paw from when he was a clumsy puppy, the way one ear folds slightly more than the other. These are details I never thought I would care about so much. But I do. Because every evening, when the lights turn on, Boy is still here, exactly as he was yesterday and the day before that. And somehow, that constancy feels like a gift. There are evenings when I come home later than usual. On those days, the sky is already dark, and the house feels quiet in a different way, less golden, more shadowed. I fumble for the switch, tired and slightly irritated by the long day. Click. The lights come on. And there he is. Sometimes he is waiting near the door. Sometimes he is curled up near the sofa. Once, he was right in the middle of the room, as if guarding the entire house by himself. But always, when the light fills the room, Boy looks at me as if to say, "Ah, you're back. I was expecting you." He does not accuse me of being late. He does not ask why I took so long. His tail simply wags, faster this time, and he does a small circle on the floor, unable to contain his happiness. It is impossible not to smile. I have learned something important from these evenings. Animals measure time differently. For me, an hour can feel short or long depending on my mood. For Boy, time seems to be measured in presence. Are you here? Or are you not? If I sit on the floor, he sits beside me. If I move to the kitchen, he follows at a polite distance. If I pause in the hallway, he pauses too, as if we are partners in a quiet dance. The house begins to breathe differently when we are both inside. There is the soft clink of his collar when he turns his head, the faint scratch of his nails on the tiles, the gentle rhythm of his breathing when he finally lies down near my feet. Sometimes I turn off all the other lights and leave only one lamp glowing in the corner. The room becomes smaller, cozier. Boy seems to prefer this. He curls up closer, his body forming a neat circle, tail tucked gently against his nose. I watch him for a while. His chest rises and falls in steady motion. His paws twitch occasionally, chasing invisible dreams. In those quiet moments, I understand something very simple but very powerful. We share this space, not just physically, emotionally. When I am anxious, he senses it. He becomes quieter, more attentive. When I am cheerful, he bounces a little more, bringing me his favorite toy as if to celebrate. He is not just a pet living in my house. He is part of the atmosphere, part of the emotional climate, and I begin to notice how my actions affect him. If I speak sharply on the phone, his ears lower slightly. If I laugh loudly, his tail thumps in approval. If I ignore him for too long, he does not bark, but he will gently place his paw on my leg, reminding me of his presence. It is never demanding, just honest. That honesty changes me. I become more mindful of my tone, more aware of my movements. I try to create a home that feels safe not only for me, but for him. Because every time I turn on the light and see him there, waiting without complaint, I am reminded, loyalty is not loud. It is consistent, and consistency builds trust. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, I came home feeling overwhelmed. The sky was dark. My thoughts were darker. I stood at the door for a moment before entering, taking a deep breath. Then I stepped inside and flipped the switch. Click. The light spread across the room. Boy was already standing there. He must have heard my footsteps outside. His tail wagged, but slower this time, as if he sensed my mood. He walked toward me gently, not jumping, not spinning, just steady. When he reached me, he leaned his small body against my leg. Not playful, not dramatic, just present. I knelt down and wrapped my arms around him. His fur was warm against my cheek. He smelled faintly of sunlight and the clean floor he likes to roll on. He did not try to move away. He stayed still, accepting the hug as if he understood that I needed it. In that quiet embrace, something inside me softened. The problems of the day did not disappear, but they shrank slightly. They became manageable, because in that simple moment, I was not alone. When the lights turn on, Boy is still here. And that has become a metaphor for something bigger in my life. In our modern world, we move fast. We chase achievements. We measure success in numbers and notifications. We forget to pause. We forget to look around when the lights turn on in our own homes, when a new day begins, when a new opportunity appears, when someone silently waits for us to notice them. Boy teaches me that presence is powerful. He does not need grand gestures. He needs time, attention, kindness, routine. In return, he offers loyalty, warmth, and a kind of love that does not calculate. This story is not only about a dog in a lit room. It is about relationships between humans and animals, and between humans and each other. When we care for an animal, we learn responsibility. We learn patience. We learn to read signals that are not spoken in words. We become more sensitive to small changes in behavior, in mood, in energy. These skills matter in human relationships too. If we can notice when our dog's ears droop, we can also notice when a friend is unusually quiet. If we can adjust our tone to make our pet feel safe, we can adjust our words to make our family feel respected. Living with Boy reminds me that love is often quiet. It is turning on the light at the end of a long day and knowing someone is there. It is choosing to speak gently even when tired. It is taking a few extra minutes to sit on the floor and share space without distraction. In today's life, where technology often competes for our attention, we can apply this lesson by creating small rituals of presence. Put your phone away for 10 minutes. Sit with your pet. Sit with your family. Notice their breathing. Notice their expressions. These moments build invisible threads of trust. We can also learn commitment. Animals depend on us. Feeding them, walking them, caring for their health. These daily acts train us to be consistent. Consistency strengthens character. It shapes us into people others can rely on. Most importantly, we can learn compassion. Animals do not hide their emotions behind pride or ego. They respond honestly. By living closely with them, we soften. We become less harsh, less reactive, more patient. A harmonious relationship between humans and animals creates a kinder home, and a kinder home contributes to a kinder society. Every evening, When I flip the switch and the light fills the room, I see more than just my dog. I see a reminder. Be steady, be gentle, be present. Because when the lights turn on in someone else's life, when they are tired, when they are uncertain, when they need reassurance, maybe what they need most is what Boy gives me every day. A quiet presence that says, without words, I'm still here.